What's up, webheads? Welcome back to the Webheads podcast. It's a show where we go through every Marvel event starting in 1939 to present. And I doubt we'll ever actually get to present because this is going to take forever.
This will literally be. If we just do this, we will never catch up.
Probably not. We're gonna have to start throwing you guys 2 episodes a week at one point. When we get more listeners, we're gonna start doing 2 episodes a week because
Yeah,
this
so that
is
means you guys better start buying stuff so we can support ourselves.
yeah. Please,
Because I can't work a full time job and do 2 episodes
no,
a week.
that we won't be able to sustain that very long at all. But this is yeah, like I said, the Webheads podcast. I'm here, Steven. That is my name. I'm here with my brother, my co-host,
DeMarco, that's my name.
and yeah, let's get started. I was gonna make
Hello,
this
hello, hello.
I didn't remember how long it went. I was so real quick. We'll get into what's coming out this week in a bit, but I was just looking at my pull list for this week. It's 13 issues. I gotta stop this. I gotta stop.
That's the sucky part is like you have to figure out where to stop. Like you can be
Yeah,
in the middle of like a story arc and like you just have to sit there and be like, oh, I don't want to. I guess
Yeah,
this
I
is where I
was-
stop.
I told you I was catching up on the ones that I haven't read yet, and then I was reading Deadly Neighborhood Spider-Man this morning, and that's the one that's written by Taboo, and I finished it, and it's good, but I looked at those 13 issues, and I was like, damn, maybe I don't need to finish this because I know it's gonna be a limited series. Like maybe I don't need to finish this, but the artwork in it's nuts.
Yeah, I gotta read that when it pops up on the app.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll get into it later. What have you? Huh?
I was gonna say, speaking of books, I saw this. I don't think I saw by this. I was just on Instagram scrolling through my For You page, and this artwork popped up for one of the Venom issues that's coming. And I was like, damn, that would look really good, like in plastic, like graded. So what was that guy's name? Here, you talk, and then I'll
right.
find it.
Well, I guess I'll ask myself what I've been up to lately. Nothing. I haven't done anything. I've just been going to work, same as always. I've been I've been adjusting our old covers to make everything look a little bit more fluid across the board. I've been working on the website. I put some more recommendations up on the website over, I think, last week.
Okay.
So you guys can go check those out. It's stuff. In the recommendations, I put stuff that isn't a part of the show, or it might be an event, but it's we're not going to get to it for a really long time. But I try to steer clear of like events for the recommendations, just as a general rule. So I got stuff on there like I think I haven't put that up yet, but I think one of the ones that I'm going to be doing next is Silver Surfer from 2014 and 15, the Dan Slott run.
Okay.
That one's really good. What else did I put? Venom Lethal Protector from like 93, I think it was. Is a really good one. And I put Judgment Day on there, which is starting to pop up more on Marvel Unlimited, so you guys can check those out. That one's really good. But yeah, I'm just trying to, besides the episodes that we're doing, I'm trying to get you guys some more recommendations on stuff to read outside. Because I'm always on Reddit, and I follow the r/Reddit page on there, or r/Marvel page. And there's almost every day there's somebody new on there, like hey, I'm just getting into comics. Where do I start?
Just send them our podcast.
Yeah.
I've never listened to this, but I think you might like it.
I don't know what you want to read, but check
You should
this
have like
podcast
5
out.
other fake profiles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to that too. It really helped out. These guys are crazy.
When I go back into my comments part on Reddit, it's just me slyly, not even slyly, just casually just throwing out the podcast out there, like, oh, I've been trying to find more stuff to read on the Fantastic Four. Hey, I got this episode on this podcast that I do. The first couple of episodes aren't that great, but you might want to check it out.
So I found the guy.
Okay.
His name's Ben Su. He's
Okay.
a directing animator at Pixar, but he also does Marvel cover art too. And I saw this one, which I thought would be like really cool, like just on your wall.
Ooh.
So he has that one.
Send me that page.
And then he has a Spider-Man one. I looked for the issue on eBay yesterday just so I can buy it so I can get it graded.
Yeah.
And it's that one right there.
That's good.
And then he on the post that I'm showing Steve right now, he shows like kind of the process of how he draws it. So everything is just like, so describe to the listeners, like the one I just showed Steve, it was a Venom one. Mm-hmm. So it's Venom, pretty much from like his shoulders up, and his mouth is open, and the background's red, but everything else is black. So it's like just more outline work that he does. So he draws like just the outline, and then he colors it in, and then they put the red behind it and everything.
But it looks
really
dope.
Good. So I want to get that. I want to get these covers and then get them graded and put them up on my wall.
Send me his page. I might want to get one of those too.
And he does like a lot of other artwork too.
Yeah, I've been trying to that's another thing on the website too. I've been trying to, every event that we do, I try to make sure that I go in and put who the writer of the event was, and the artist too, because a lot of times I won't say a lot of times because we just got into the 90s, but sometimes the stories we read, like the artwork is just nuts, and I want to see what else they did. So I've been trying to make sure I put their names in the tags on the post on the website and just in the post itself, so people can say, oh, I really like this Chris Claremont story. Let me see what else he wrote. Or I really like this John Romita art.
Yeah.
If anybody says that about John Romita Jr., I don't know. I doubt it. But his dad, he was pretty good.
Him, not so much.
Yeah, I say that, and I probably shouldn't say that, because maybe what if we meet him one day or something?
I feel like it'd be funny. I feel like when you're an artist, you have to expect some people not to like your art.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're saying he's terrible.
No, he's a good artist. I know, I can tell who he's drawing by who he's drawing. So he's good enough for that. It's funny because a lot of his faces that he draws are everybody kind of looks the same.
They all have the same blocky nose, face. It's very angular.
Yeah. So I say that all knowing that I can't draw like him.
Yeah.
So take it with a grain of salt, John.
On Steve's best day, he cannot draw as well as
no. This guy's drawing this stuff off of it, out of his head. I need to look at a picture for me to draw something. But yeah. So what have you been up to?
Let's see. Not much. Just been getting ready for the holidays. Trying to get all the gifts together. We just took our little family photo, as you've seen. Mm-hmm. I've been trying to play Pokemon, but life happens.
Yeah.
Work, reading for the show. So I haven't been able to do that as much as I want.
Yeah, it happens.
And that's what kind of sucks about the show, is that I want to read more books. I always go on the app and I see all the stuff I want to read.
Yeah.
But with my limited amount of time, I have to dictate where that time goes. So it's I don't even really get to read other stuff.
Yeah, I find myself uh, just kind of staying up, forcing myself to get through some things. Mm-hmm. So it's like I get home at 5, pick up Zara, we eat dinner, get her ready for bed, get her ready for school the next day. Ferrio's home in between that time. So we all chill. Then we got to go to sleep at like 9 or 10 or something like that. So we get Zara down. Ferio has to drive even further than I do most days. So like she's exhausted around the same time Zara is. So they both fall asleep. And some days it's like, all right, I can't stay up and do anything else. I got to go to sleep too. And then other nights it's like, I got to read something. Or like I got to play this video game for a little bit. Like I'm going like nuts. And it's, yeah, sometimes it's like, I'm up until 1:00, and it's like, I regret it the next morning, but it's like sometimes it's like that's the only way I can find like time to just like break the monotony of everything, and it's like, all right, I guess tonight's the night I'm staying up.
And the good thing with at least reading newer comics is that sometimes you can get through like 3 or 4 issues in like 45 minutes. So like you can really put in a lot of work that night if you really want to read. Like I think the last thing I read, I was reading up on like Star Wars, but before that I was reading the Miles Morales series.
Okay.
And I think there was, at the time when I was reading it, there was 30 some issues or something.
Yeah.
I think I got through all of them in a matter of maybe, I mean, if you want to go hours wise, maybe 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah. The newer comics for the most part are a lot less wordy.
Yeah.
Than where we're at.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, the 90s stuff hasn't been too bad yet, but even still, sometimes the story I read, I flipped one page and this shit was just mostly words.
Yeah.
I was like,
a couple with mine too.
God damn it! Like, is there a character behind this somewhere?
So those are the ones where I'm just like, all right, is all this stuff important? Can I just skip most of this dialogue?
Sometimes I'll skim over it first, like, and I'll look at the next page and see if anything big happened. Yeah. Like, I might be able to skip that.
What about you? Anything new?
Nothing. No, I've been playing Pokemon. I told you before we started recording, I just finished it. And I try to. My goal with the Pokemon games is always to just try to catch everything. So I have right now like I think 249 Pokemon or something, 250. So I want to catch everything now before Pokemon Home has the connectivity, so I can transfer over all the new stuff. But I do like some of the character models for some of the Pokemon, and it's cool. I also like how they scaled the size of the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like some Pokemon they're hidden behind those blades of grass, and I can't see.
I'm just like running, and then all of a sudden, the little exclamation point pops up, and I'm in a battle all of a sudden.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you see like some big ass Pokemon down, like hella far away. I'm like, oh, let me turn away over here. But that's been cool. Yesterday I just kind of like, I woke up in the morning, played for a couple of hours, stopped for a bit, played for a little bit longer, stopped, and then at the end of the night is when I finally beat like the main story.
Nice.
Yeah. But it was rough. I was towards the end when you start getting towards the Pokemon League and all that stuff. Random people were just handing me my ass, like their Pokemon were like level like 65, 66, and mine were like 53, like 54, 55, and every time I got in a battle, they just had everything to beat me.
Those are the ones that keep you humble.
Yeah. Because before that, I was going through. I was beating everybody. Like every gym leader, I smashed. Like I had no problems. And then all of a sudden, I beat 8 gym leaders, and then everybody I run up on, they're just like, "Oh, here, take this." Just kick my ass. That shit was rough.
I always like when people are so like critical of the fact that adults are still playing Pokemon.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strategic
Mm-hmm.
stuff you have to think about when you play those games.
Yeah.
It's not just you just catch all these monsters and make them fight. Like
There, like when we were younger, like I used to play and just like whatever my team was, that was the team. I wasn't
Yeah.
switching anybody out, and we didn't have the the EXP share, so like you had to like really build your team up. Like
Yeah.
you didn't have like level 50 and 60 just sitting in your Pokeboxes. Like, you had to like really like build your team up. So before it was just like, okay, like you get to the Pokemon League and then this guy has like D6.
yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I only got maybe one or two Pokemon that can get through this. So it's like you got to have your Pokemon at like level 70 something.
Yeah, and most of the time you go into a battle and you don't even know what you're going to go up to.
Yeah.
So you got to think on the fly. You got to, all right, I'm going to use this move to switch out this one. I got to use this move to, you know, weaken the defense on this one and then switch it out with something else. But if I put him in, I'm worried he's going to get knocked out by this one. I need him later.
And you got to go into the whole battle before. Like you got to get some revives, the potions, all that stuff. You know what I realized though is that none of the people that you battle like use potions or anything anymore.
Not even the gym leaders?
No.
Because that used to be the thing, like the gym leader, like their last Pokemon, they would always.
Yeah, they have like 5 HP left, and they're like, no,
Yeah.
Here's a hyper potion. I'm back at 100%, and they do it like 4 or 5 times. Like none of them ever do it anymore. Like there was a few of the gym leaders. Like I had like on the ropes. Like I had one Pokemon blow through like a whole gym leader, and then at the very end, like I knocked their Pokemon down to like 5 HP or whatever because they had that sturdy thing. So it stops it like right before, and you just went with a whole new move. So like the AI is like kind of not there, but it works for me.
I kind of like that aspect though when they would like throw in a hyper potion. It got kind of annoying because everybody would do it.
Yeah.
But like if they would just do it without me like expecting it, then it would be more like challenging for me.
Yeah, it was, but it's a fun game. And I understand some people's like complaints about it, like the graphics, the frame rate, all that stuff. Like I get it. Like I hate like riding the Pokemon.
I don't know that.
Alexa, now's not the time. Like I hate riding the Pokemon and then like it like loads as you're going.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden something just pops up and you're like, oh fuck, man, I was trying to get somewhere. But other than that, it's a cool game. I do kind of hope that they go back to like the linear story line kind of instead of like I'm still okay with the open world stuff, but like because they're not telling you, hey, like you got to head to this gym or this city and like all that stuff. Like there's a lot of cities that you can't get to until you.
Oh yeah, you get something.
Yeah, you gotta beat the Titan Pokemon first, so your Pokemon can glide or whatever, or climb the walls. And so that makes it kind of difficult, like because it's open world once you have all that stuff, but before like you're kind of stuck in like.
Yeah, there was one. I think it was a gym leader. I spent every time I would play for like a good 2 days. I spent all the time just trying to figure out how to get to them. I would go up a hill, and then find that it just led to a dead end. So I'd have to go back down, go through the water, dead end, and I was like, okay, there has to be some way to get up to this person.
It's that part's a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
but overall, it's fun. I still got a lot of Pokemon to catch, so I'm still gonna keep playing.
Hopefully they come out with like some DLC like they did with the.
Yeah, that would be fun. But I also don't like how they changed the breeding. Either.
I haven't even gotten to that.
I can't find a Ditto yet, so I can't do it. But you have to set up picnics with the Ditto and the Pokemon that you want to breed. So they say it should go faster, but Just bring the daycare back. What else? Oh, so the comics that are coming out this week. So Marvel's clearly in Christmas mode. Because last week they had 20 or 30 items coming out, right? It says there's 150 coming out this week.
Uh-huh.
And okay, they're probably just counting like all the variants because every one of these covers has like 5 variants to it. But let's see. Captain Marvel Sentinel of Liberty #7. That's a Steve Rogers Captain America. That one's still pretty good. They just had a Captain America and Winter Soldier annual come out for that one, so that was pretty. I haven't read it, but I heard it was good. Captain Marvel 44, Damage Control #5, Daredevil #6. That one's pretty good too. It's really dark.
I want to read that.
No, it's really Dark Web. That's a new event that's starting. It has 12 variant covers, so pick your poison. Oh, that one's that is nice. Look at that.
Ooh, that looks dope.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Damn, 12. Fantastic Four #2 is coming out. The first one was pretty good. It was just Ben Grimm and Alicia went to this town on a little vacation, and the town was like stuck in time, so it was like 1940 something, and they just did whatever they could to like help the town get out of it. But you don't see any of the other characters in it, but it was cool. I originally, to be honest, was only gonna get it because Alex Ross is doing like the first 4 covers or variant covers, and his art is just nuts. But they got a Peach Momoko cover too, and I kind of want that one. But so Fantastic Four #2, Ghost Rider #9, that one's still pretty good. Immortal X-Men #9, haven't read that. Marauders #9, Miles Morales Spider-Man #1. 26 variant covers. 26. Peach Momoko is so good. I love her covers. She's so good. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur #1. That should be pretty good. They had that little mini series with Moon Girl and X-Men, Moon Girl and
like they with Miss Marvel.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. New Mutants #32, Predator #5, Punisher #8, Secret Invasion #2. That one, the first one of that was pretty good too.
They're doing another Secret Invasion?
Mm-hmm. Spider-Man #3. That one's pretty good. Star Wars Hidden Empire #2. Thanos Death Notes #1. Seems pretty interesting. That's on my list this week. The Avengers 63, the variants #5. That story is really good. The variants with Jessica Drew.
Jessica Jones.
I did that last time too. I don't know why I keep doing that. Thor #29, Tiger Division #2, X-Force #35, X-Men Red #9, and Extreme X-Men #1. And let's see. You got some trade paperbacks coming out this week. Aranya, Night of the Hunter, Immortal X-Men by Kieran Gillen. And they got an Inferno trade paperback. Oh, that's a more recent one. And some omnibuses and stuff like that. But that's about it. I was going to say something and I completely forgot what it was, but I'm ready to get into the story if you are.
I'm ready.
So this week we got the Terminus Factor. It is... we're going to say it's an Avenger story. Because It goes from they're all annuals. It goes from Captain America annual number 9, Iron Man annual number 11, Thor annual number 15, West Coast Avengers annual number 5, and the Avengers annual number 19.
Okay.
So just 5 issues, not too bad. We start off with Captain America number 9, annual number 9.
I let you get the short one this time.
The next couple ones. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. That Torment story for Spider-Man. I actually have all 5 issues of the event at home, like the actual
nice.
physical copies. Nina Michelle had them and gave them to me. I don't know why she had them. I think mom said it was something for school that she was doing, but she gave me those and like a few other like other like random scattered ones.
Like recently?
Yeah, like a couple months ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's I got one of them. I got one of them hanging on my wall. I might get that one graded because that one it's like a silver, a black and silver like limited edition copy of it. But shit. Do you hear anybody crying?
I heard a crash.
Okay, I think they're okay. Yeah, so Cap Annual number 9, we start with Captain America and a woman named Ramona being dropped off into an active volcano in a metal capsule because Tony Stark sent them in there. Going deeper into the volcano, they're starting to realize that something is off. It should be pitch black in there where they are, but they can see like this floating gold ring is surrounding their capsule that they're in. The glow begins to get brighter, eventually causing them to lose control of the ship. Seconds later, Tony and his team see a large gold glowing streak fly from the volcano and just over the mountains that they're in. A few minutes later, Iron Man shows up out of nowhere, and he flies over the area and he goes in for the save. Cap is barely holding on, but he's able to stop the ship from sinking even further into the volcano. But that girl Ramona, she's passed out. It's too much is going on right now. She's passed out.
Gee, maybe they shouldn't have sent 2 just normal people into an active volcano.
Yeah, that's probably not the team you want to send in there. And so Iron Man is able to help them to the surface. Once they get there, Captain America kicks open the door and he's screaming for a medic because Ramona passed out. And Ramona finally comes to, and she asks about the gold streak, and the team writes it off like it was nothing, saying it went over the mountains, it fell into a stream of water. It's no big deal. It's probably just it's volcano things.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure it's no big deal. So, yeah, they say it fell behind the mountains. What they don't know is that the gold streak poisoned the water, which poisoned the animals that drank it, including the apex predators that were in the area, which is mainly just bears. And because the humans in the town were getting that water from there as well, it poisoned them. So to celebrate their lives being saved, Tony's team decides to get a bunch of fish from the stream and throws the small town that they're staying in right now, decides to throw the whole town a little fish fry to celebrate the fact that Captain America and Ramona are still alive. But not too long after they start eating, the town quickly starts to turn into like these raving maniacs. And the town mayor leaps at Captain America and Ramona, and he kind of looks like a zombie at this point. And this is happening all after they ate the fish. So yeah, the mayor leaps at Ramona and Captain America. He looks like a zombie. Ramona screams for Iron Man, but he's turned as well because he ate some of the fish. So.
I don't know why that's funny to me.
He's like in the book. He's he's still in his Iron Man suit, right? And he's flying around, but that's when the poison's starting to kick into his system. So he's like, "Oh, I'm tired. I need a break." And he's like leaning. He has the face part of his mask just up, like sitting up above his face, and he's just like sitting against a tree, like kind of like in the foresty area by himself, and he's just turning into like this zombie thing. So yeah, where were we? So yeah, she calls for Iron Man, but he's turned as well. When they turn around after looking for Iron Man, they see that most of the town has turned and is walking towards them to kill them. Not running, they're just walking slowly, like zombies seem to do in pop culture. So Captain America slams the little kid that turned into a barrel of ice. And then he smacks Iron Man in the face with his shield. And then he turns back around, and the kid that he slammed in the ice water has turned back to normal. But Iron Man is still like zombie-ish. So Captain America and Ramona hop in a helicopter, and they try to make a run for it, but Iron Man blasts through the tail of the chopper, causes him to tailspin and go into. They crash like towards the top of a mountain into the snow. So Captain America hops out. He tries to get Iron Man to fight him, but because for some reason the townspeople that turned are marching up the mountain now to kill them. They saw the helicopter crash. Now all the townspeople are slowly just walking up the mountain towards where they are. And so Captain America and Iron Man fight it out. And Iron Man's pretty much just whooping Captain America's ass. But Cap is taking the beating on purpose, trying to make Tony more mad, which eventually turns him normal again. So it's either you get slammed into ice water or you get really pissed off. And that's how you turn back into to being normal again. But this is where we find out that what actually turned him normal and all of the townspeople normal was the cold weather. So it wasn't the fact that Tony was getting pissed off that turned him normal again. It was the frigid temperatures up on the mountain that they were on. So as the townspeople slowly started making their way up there, as they got closer and closer to the cold, they started turning normal. And we find out that the cold is what turns them back normal. And they put out and then at that point they put 2 and 2 together and realize that the fish is what caused this, and who knows what other animals are affected at this point and how long it's going to take to spread across the world. And that was the end of Captain America number 9, annual. Then we jump over to Iron Man annual number 11, and we start with Machine Man from the Evolutionary War episode, if you guys remember that one. And his friend Peter Spaulding is in a garage repairing the head of Jocasta. And Machine Man tells him to go take a walk because his eyes are... Peter Spaulding is standing behind Machine Man, just kind of staring at him, waiting for him to finish working on Jocasta. And Machine Man tells him, hey, like, go take a walk. I can feel your eyes burning through the back of my head. Just get out of here for a bit. And before Peter leaves, a bear bursts through the side of the wall. And Machine Man isn't too worried about it, so he tries to grab it by its neck. And the bear ends up smacking Machine Man through a different wall. And the bear stands on its hind legs, and its skin is just like ripped open. And we see that under its skin is a robot build. So it's like a robot bear. So Machine Man tries everything he can to stop it. He shoots it. He uses a flamethrower. He uses his arm extensions to try to fight it at a distance. And nothing's slowing it down. The robot rips Machine Man's arm off of him. So now he only has one arm. Peter is able to get Machine Man out of the garage that they were working in. But the robot completely ignores Peter until it realizes that all the metal is out of the garage. And then the robot bear gets pissed off because now Machine Man's out of the garage. All of the metal that they were working on is out of the garage because it's just been smacked everywhere. The bear gets pissed off and it just stomps Peter to death. Just smashes the shit out of him. And so that guy Peter Spaulding, he dies. And now we jump over to Tony Stark, and Tony's taking a meeting with Sunset Bane of Banetronics. Have you heard of her before?
No.
Okay, so
Sunset Bane.
Sunset Bane. So there's an Iron Cat story that just came out recently, and Sunset Bane is after this story that we're reading today. Eventually, she gets into a relationship with Tony, and I don't know the full backstory, but she kind of loses her shit. She's like she's into electronics, building all this like industrial stuff, kind of like what Tony does. And she eventually I don't know how it happens, but in the Iron Cat story, she's only an AI version of herself. So her whole consciousness, everything lives inside of a database that is locked, can't get out to anything, nothing. And she's evil as shit. And in this whole story, she kind of she starts the beginning of her evil career. But where were we? So yeah, he meets up with Sunset Bane of Banetronics. She's touring the factory with him when a man-shaped missile is seen on the radars flying towards the building. She cuts the tour short and takes off. Tony goes the other way to get into his suit. When Iron Man gets out there, he sees Machine Man crash into the river holding Jacosta's head. He takes Machine Man into Banetronics to examine him and then has to go back to LA to grab some parts to fix him. So right now they're in Seattle, where this Banetronics place is. So he decides, I need to go get some of my tools from LA so I can help Machine Man. So I'll be back in a little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah. So, so when Iron Man leaves, Sunset takes Machine Man to her secret lab so she can start taking him apart for herself. They've had Sunset Bane and Machine Man in the past. Wants to take him apart for her own personal uses.
Nefarious needs.
Yes. And she gets him in there and immediately starts using his build to help build a duplicate of her own. And she does. She takes all the information she needs. Meanwhile, that robot that tore down the garage just showed up at Banetronics looking for a fight. And when he gets there, and when he gets, I don't know what I put there. So, God damn it. Let's pause real quick. Okay, sorry about that. So, that bear robot showed up looking for a fight, and Sunset freaks out. She calls Iron Man to come back, and he hasn't made it that far, honestly, so he turns back around. And when he gets back, he sees that the robot is tearing the place apart. He tries to blast him down, but he gets smacked away like a fly. The fight continues, and Sunset is doing her best to hide her copy of Machine Man in the background before Iron Man sees it. When Iron Man gets close to the robot, he sees that his eyes are red and glossed over, just like the townspeople in the last issue. So his next idea is to freeze him with liquid titanium, and maybe he'll stop this madness, thinking, oh, if I just get him cold like we did back on the mountain, everything should be fine. It doesn't work. The robot, who we just found out is called Terminus, absorbed all the liquid titanium and just grew bigger at that point. In the next room, Machine Man is finally woken up, and he decides to join Tony in the fight. And Machine Man and Iron Man put their heads together and decide to try pouring molten metal on Terminus to see if that will stop it. It works. They think they're out of the woods until they hear on the radio to the south of them in the Bay Area, a bunch of robot animals are attacking a city.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Is it Hayward?
Probably. They broke out from the Oakland Zoo and went straight to Hayward. So Iron Man and Machine Man head over to figure this all out. And that was the end of that one. So we jump over to Thor Annual number 15. Yeah, 15. And we start with Thor and Hercules flying. Just Thor's flying with Mjolnir, and Hercules is just holding on to him, flying along. Hercules had no clue why his buddy Thor is dragging him along until they land, and Thor tells him that Iron Man called him a few hours ago to explain the whole Terminus situation. Thor tells Hercules that he needs to search the streets, and then Thor's going to go around the city flying around trying to find Terminus himself. A few miles south of San Francisco, a nuclear plant is closing down for the day when a bunch of the robot animals burst through the walls. But this time they are chasing titanium. They're not chasing titanium. They're going after the humans, and they end up killing a few of the humans. The remaining humans that are alive call the cops, and
hey, there's just robots over here.
There's robot animals trying to kill all of us.
Sir, please calm down.
Sir, this isn't a joke line. Please, I'm being serious.
Sir, we'll send one unit out as soon as they're available. Please, hurry.
Get as many here as you can. The giraffe's going to kill me. So, yeah, the remaining alive people call the cops, and the police station radios out for help. And Hercules just happened to be walking by a cop car at that point, so he heard the cops calling it in, and he just says, "Hey, like, can I just ride with you guys over to that situation?" And they're like, "Yeah, I guess." So, meanwhile, the animals are now bathing and drinking the nuclear fuel in the plant, and they're starting to change from animals to like these 10-foot tall robots, like human-looking robots. And Hercules shows up and he starts going to blows with them. But for some reason, at the same time, Thor is up in space.
Wasn't he supposed to be flying around the city looking for?
And he just ends up in space. And he runs into the original Terminus, who was cast deep into space by Quasar. And when Thor gets close, Terminus yells for him to leave me alone, get away. Like,
ew, gross, go away.
And Quasar had sent him out that deep into space because he can't speak. He can't speak. He can't do anything. He doesn't have like his. I think it was the staff that he originally had that gave him all of his power. Mm. So he just like Thor shows up and he's like, "Hey man, just leave me alone." Like, I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. I can't hurt anybody out here. Just please leave me alone. So Thor doesn't like being told to leave. So he does whatever he can to get Terminus to talk. But he's hitting him with Mjolnir, throwing it at him. Nothing's happening. And Terminus finally just gets fed up. He smacks him away. And Thor says enough is enough. And he just flies inside of Terminus with all of his force, and inside safely now, Thor tries to telepathically control Terminus, which I don't understand because Thor has never had telepathic powers. But yeah, I think he's hoping that like Terminus has. I assumed that he was hoping Terminus had telepathic powers, and that he could just talk in his own head and just be like, I know you can hear me. Like, listen to me. So, yeah. But he's trying to control Terminus telepathically, even though he doesn't have telepath powers. And Terminus instead tries to control Thor using his powers. Terminus shows Thor a life before Earth when the Celestials came and wreaked havoc against a nameless race of people who at the last moment before their death created a life form called Termini, only built to bring an end to the Celestials. What the race didn't know is that the life form it created would eventually try to murder all Celestials and everything created by Celestials. So that includes deviants, Eternals, humans, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they originally created that robot to only kill Celestials, but it's like, hey, those Celestials made.
When are they going to realize that whenever you make something just to kill one thing, it's just going to end up killing everything?
It's going to evolve. Okay, you want me to kill Chris? Well, Chris made all those. I got to take all those out too.
These are extensions of Chris.
I don't know what he taught them. So, yeah. Now the Termini are designed to just kill everything created by the Celestials. After many years and many ravaged planets that the Celestials had previously spared, the Terminus microbes have started to grow on Earth, and that's what's been growing recently. So that's why we had the glowing thing coming out of the lava. And I'm pretty sure there was popping up in kind of different areas. Well, obviously it has, because that's why we had when it came out of the lava, they were in Colorado. The robot showed up in Seattle at Sunset Bane's place, and now they're in the Bay Area. So it all has to be kind of separate areas where the bacteria is growing, or the microbes. Seconds later, Thor starts being attacked by Terminus's organic immune system. These metal tentacle-looking things and these metal leeches start attacking Thor as if he's a germ. And once the leeches start sapping his power, Terminus takes his hammer and begins to make it a part of himself. Which shouldn't work, because Odin put the
not a curse, but
what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. He basically put the writing on there saying that only somebody worthy of being Thor can hold his hammer. So him being able to take Terminus being able to take the hammer and make it a part of himself shouldn't be able to happen. But we'll see. So we jump back a little bit. Years ago, when Quasar banished Terminus to deep space, he took his lance, which I was talking about a little bit earlier. He took his lance from him so Terminus couldn't transport himself through space anymore. Taking in the power of Mjolnir allowed him the last bit of power he needed to bring back his lance. Back on Earth, Hercules is getting bodied by the smaller Termini. And after a few minutes of fighting, the Termini start fighting amongst themselves. But the winner amongst them starts molding into one another and getting bigger until they all become just one. And now all of these 10-foot robots are standing at like a cool 150-foot tall one robot. And to make matters worse, the original Terminus has come down from the sky to stand tall next to the new one. So now we got two, at least 150-foot tall robots that's standing right next to each other. And we don't know what the hell's going on. And then we jump over to the West Coast Avengers annual number 5. And we start this one with Hank Pym and Janet doing experiments on the original Human Torch, Jim Hammond, our old buddy, and bringing him back to consciousness after Wanda put a hex on him. Seconds later, Quicksilver comes running out to let the West Coast Avengers know that Hercules called and he's admitting that he needs help, which is a big thing for Hercules. And that the large Termini is now fighting the new Termini in the street, or Terminus, Termini, whatever you want to say. Going back and forth like father and son. Scorned, they just fight in the streets. They're tearing this whole city apart, whichever city it is. And the Avengers show up asking Hercules what happened, and he explains most of what happened in the last issue. Iron Man reminds them that the two robots are tearing apart the city. Well, Iron Man's like, listen, we can sit here and talk about what happened all we want to, but those two are really just tearing apart the city, and I don't have the money to fix all of this. So we gotta figure something out here. So they keep trying different methods, but nothing's working, and both Termini seem to be moving away from each other. Because Hank he figured something out. He used these two large mirrors and a blast of light to confuse them somehow. So now they're just walking away from each other.
He has these mirrors lying around.
I guess just 200-foot tall mirrors just laying. Hey, you remember those 200-foot long mirrors that we had?
You guys said this was a stupid idea, and I didn't need them.
I wonder what I could use those for now. What do you guys think? It's like, Hank, shut up. Like the Giant Man anymore. You don't need mirrors that big. It's like, we're going to need them one day. You're going to see.
There'll be a new Giant Man one day.
So, yeah, that confuses them. They're going their separate ways. It doesn't last long, though. And Wonder Man and the Human Torch are growing impatient. And they just say, forget it. We're going in for the kill. And that does not work. Honestly, they're not really working as a team here. Hercules goes in alone. He gets smacked away. Wonder Man and U.S. Agent are just bickering back and forth because they don't want to... no one wants to kind of concede that they're a part of a team. They kind of want to be the leader. And even Jan shrinks down and heads into the Terminus head alone and realizes that she can't do anything in there. So she shrunk down all on her own.
Just hang out.
Yeah. So the young Terminus starts searching for his newfound father, and he starts heading towards the Monterey Peninsula. And finally, the Termini decide what they need to do is one of them needs to end so that the other can get back to fighting for the cause. And they start fighting each other again, and this causes a huge earthquake in Monterey. And the elder Terminus beats the younger, and this causes the younger Termini to shrink, and then the elder one eats it.
Mm.
And after that huge explosion that happens when he eats him, the West Coast Avengers think, they think that they may have won this whole thing, but no, don't get too excited. The elder Terminus grows even bigger at this point. And he just stalks off, walking towards the east. It's all right, I'm bigger now, and he starts walking away. Iron Man calls Captain America, and he tells him to ready the original Avengers, because so he grew bigger and he grew 4 more limbs. So now he has 6 limbs, and they're calling him Terminus 5 now. And Iron Man tells Captain America, hey, you guys got to be ready, because I don't know where this guy's walking to, but we can't stop him alone. And then we jump over to Avengers Annual number 19. Surprisingly, the last issue. And we start the last issue with the West Coast Avengers with Hercules and Machine Man heading east, chasing Terminus. And the original Avengers heading west, trying to meet everybody in the middle. You would think that because Terminus walked away, they could catch him kind of fast. But at this point, he's a 300-foot robot. And now he can fly too. So he started walking east and then just started taking off. So the West Coast Avengers are just kind of chasing them at this point, hoping that the other Avengers are going to just meet them. And, oh man, they're in some bad situations here. So, and then since they have the time, the West Coast Avengers are sitting in their ship trying to figure out how Terminus absorbed Mjolnir when you have to be worthy enough to even lift it in the first place. And also trying to figure out why Terminus is flying east after merging with the younger one. Who we didn't expect to show up was the Great Lakes Avengers. And that team includes Mockingbird, Flatman, Mr. Immortal, who we saw in She-Hulk, Big Bertha, Doorman, and Dinosaur.
Why is Mockingbird on that team?
She left the West Coast Avengers because she was having issues with Hawkeye, and decided to head up her own team.
I was watching a video and they were talking about the Great Lake Avengers and why they need a Marvel presentation.
Yeah.
And they basically just explained like who the characters were, but essentially the team only formed because there's a West Coast and East Coast Avengers.
Yeah.
And the only other body of water that they could have used to border was the Great Lakes.
That's fine. That would be such a great special presentation. Just like having like a ragtag team of like people just get together because they're like, no, we deserve to be protected too. And like, we have a body of water. Let's do it.
They need to make a Gulf Coast Avengers as well.
It's just like a whole bunch of just different Latin races.
Yeah, you get a couple Latin people. You get some.
Yeah, that's the most brown team.
You get some people from Louisiana and Texas too.
There's a whole bunch of black and brown people on the Gulf Coast Avengers. I'd take that. Oh, speaking of, shout out to Gabe. He was listening to the last issue, or not the last issue, the last episode, and we were talking about Black Panther, and I said that I liked that he had the Aztec type roots, and I didn't realize that I had fucked up and said Aztec, and I meant Mayan. So sorry if anybody got offended by that. I didn't mean it, but he pointed it out, so I wanted to correct myself here. But yeah, so we run into the Great Lakes Avengers, and they showed up because Hawkeye called them, even though him and Mockingbird are going through a divorce at the moment.
Shouldn't be calling me. The lawyer said no contact.
No contact. But I need your help. So they show up. They confront Terminus face to face. They get smacked around. Mr. Immortal dies like 3 times. And Terminus gets tired of just swatting them away, so he puts a force field around the whole team and starts enacting his final plan. The West Coast Avengers finally arrive and tell them, thanks for being a diversion, which kind of pisses off the Great Lakes Avengers. Terminus is now using his lance to drain all of North America of its power, and it's slowly working. He's slowly just getting all the power that he needs. Comic books. So the West Coast Avengers, oh yeah, I said that part. And seconds later, the actual Avengers show up. That's kind of messed up too. The actual Avengers. The Avengers show up, and they quickly decide that they don't have time to plan anything, and they all just immediately attack. So meanwhile, still in space, Thor's just kind of floating around. He can't move. He can't talk out loud. But he's floating closer and closer to a small planet, and his subconscious, what he's thinking in his head is that if I float close enough to this planet, I'm hoping that the gravity kind of pulls me in, and he gains use of all of his body parts, and then he'll be able to talk again and call for his hammer. And he gets close enough, it does pull him in. But it happens so quick. By the time he becomes fully conscious of what's happening, he slams into the surface and gets knocked out. So back on Earth, nothing's getting better. Captain America and U.S. Agent are fighting, but trying to clear the area. Wasp is barely getting anyone out of the area. She-Hulk is saving people from falling buildings that are coming down. Quasar tells the team to follow his lead because he's beat Terminus before with the cosmic-powered Spider-Man in the past, which is when I was telling you Quasar took him up into the deep space. So he plants an energy disc under Terminus's feet and gets every Avenger that can fly to try lifting, but it just doesn't work. He's too big. This Terminus is like 150 feet taller than the last one that he dealt with. So at this point, his lance is starting to reach and destroy outside of the U.S. Back in space, Thor finally wakes up and he can finally speak because he's within the planet's atmosphere. And the first thing he does is call for Mjolnir. We jump back to Earth in St. Louis. Iron Man is trying his hardest to penetrate the force field that's holding the Great Lakes Avengers and the West Coast Avengers. Vision says it's statistically impossible for him to enter the force field, so he doesn't even try. Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, at this point, tries her best. Nothing. They finally decide to all rush the 300-foot robot. They all decide to rush the force field at the same time, hoping that they could maybe burst through, even though they're all rushing in different areas. So you're not even like concentrating on one point of the force field, hoping that all of you guys just hit that point. They're all attacking different areas. It's like I don't think that's how that works. So as soon as they hit the force field, Ultra Terminus starts to rise into the sky like something's pulling him up. But whatever it is pulls up all of the flying Avengers with him as well. As they rise, Hercules swears he heard Thor's voice calling out. The Earthbound Avengers are all trying to figure out where their friends went, and they come to the conclusion that Thor must have called out to his hammer in hopes of getting it back and going back to Earth. Thor sees Terminus coming in, but freaks out when he sees that a few Avengers are coming along for the ride, and knows once Terminus hits the planet, they're all going to die. So right before the crash, Quasar gives every Avenger that's up there their own AirPod to keep them safe. And now with the confused and concussed Terminus floating around, Thor convinces them to try to steal away his lance that he's been using to steal all of their power. They do, and Quasar quantum jumps far, far away and throws the lance even further away, so Terminus will never find it. And Quantum jumps back to his friends to check in on Terminus. And because he used the lance to gain energy and power, the only place he can get his power from now is himself. So Terminus starts collapsing in on itself because he was already in that process of gaining all the power. And now because the only power that is around is himself, he just starts collapsing in on himself. He does this until he's no more and turns into a black hole. Then seconds later, Mjolnir comes flying out to Thor, and Thor takes all of them back to Earth. And that was it.
So just leave the black hole in space.
Yeah, fuck that black hole. I don't care. But that was it. That was the Terminus factor.
Wasn't bad.
What do you think?
Kind of. I don't know. Sometimes with one of their Avengers stories, they, at least these early ones, I feel like they go too big. And it's just like sort of. It's a comic book. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I would want to read it. Like, I don't think I'd want to go back and read it for myself, though. Personally, I would say forget about it.
I said forget about it, cuz.
It was, I'm gonna give it a house explosion. I don't think it was. It's definitely better if you read it for yourself.
Yeah.
It does sound kind of goofy and stupid, and even when you read it yourself, it does feel that way. But I think I'm only giving it a House Explosion because it's short enough to feel like you didn't waste your time if it was bad. And they don't waste their time like getting to anything. Like it, I want to say in the Captain America annual that it starts in, like you're maybe 2 or 3 pages in before like stuff like really starts to like kick off. So like it's not the greatest story, but it was short enough and straight to the point for me to like enjoy reading it and like actually recommending it to somebody else. So yeah, I give it that.
Yeah, one of the things I did like was that it was shorter, and it was constantly moving with the action. But yeah, it just wasn't my thing, I guess.
Yeah, it happens. It's not for everybody. But yeah, that's all we got. That was the Terminus Factor, an Avenger story. And we're inching closer and closer to Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Kwanzaa.
I've still never met anybody that celebrates Kwanzaa. I know they're out there.
Yeah.
But I want somebody that actually celebrates it to teach me some things about it. Because I'm just too lazy to get on the internet and search.
There's too much stuff on the internet.
There's too many different stories. Just tell me what you and your family do. That's it. I want a first-hand experience. Hey, cheeseburgers for my wife. Sweet. She just threw them at us.
I was just getting hungry, too.
She told me she was going to McDonald's a few minutes ago. And she was getting Zara a Happy Meal. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then as soon as I got back in here, I was like, I should have told her to get me something. So, shout out to Fariel. She always says that I don't talk about her enough on here. So, thanks to you. But that's all we got for this week. Come back next week. We got another story, a Captain America story. And, yeah, that's it. Share it, like it. Put it in, I know we made a lot of people's, probably not a lot of people, but we made top 10 podcasts.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. We'll talk about the next show, but we got some talking to do.
Yeah.
About if our Spotify year-end wrap up.
We got to talk about it, guys. We'll see you next week. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.